Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed Black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Welcome, Truth Warriors and Mythbusters. It's me, Kathleen, a.k.a. Kat Wells, with the Naked Truth Report, your host. Oh, there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. Well, what is today? Today is what? The 23rd day of the partial shutdown. Yes. It's a good thing, I think. Don't we think it's a good thing? Because why? Because we want the wall built. We know we want the wall built because why? We know the data. I'm a data girl. You guys know, you truth warriors know I know the data. We've gone over the data. We've gone over the data since I started the show, right? 16, 17 months ago. So we know the data. And it's, I couldn't decide if I wanted to title this show, Democrat voters are the most unknowledgeable and illogical folks on the planet, Part 2, because that was the title last week, right? Or I couldn't decide if I wanted to title, or I thought maybe I should title it, Political Correctness Has Destroyed Black America. But, political correctness is Democrats destroying Black America. Oh, no, I don't want to put it like that. I want to put it like this. The fact that Democrats don't know that political correctness destroyed Black America is proof that Democrats are unknowledgeable and illogical. Did that make sense? Yeah. That's proof. Liberals, the left, do not realize that political correctness has destroyed Black America. Therefore, you know how you were in college and you would put therefore? That's another thing. I took a logic course in college. I think more people need to take logic. You would put like the 3 dots, therefore. You need to take logic so that you can go like A plus B equals C kind of stuff, right? So since Democrats don't know that political correctness has destroyed Black America, therefore Democrats are unknowledgeable and illogical. Correct, right. I like that. So anyway, you can go to my website actually and see me in the studio. So that's the nakedtruthreport.com. Go to my website because I'm streaming live on YouTube. And that's why, I'm not playing copyrighted music. I'm lucky to have John and Bo, my sponsor, the country duo, John and Bo, do my music now since I'm live streaming on YouTube. And when you live stream on YouTube, you can't use copyrighted music. So go to my website, thenakedtruthreport.com, and you can see me in the studio and I'll wave. Hello, I'm waving. Anyway. Yeah, so political correctness has destroyed Black America. And let me tell you how, or let me give you examples as to why exactly. So the example is like, calling us people of color, even African Americans, and diversity. These terms that the liberals come up with, these are terms that the liberals come up with. Oh, and that term intersectionality. But that's one of the Democrat terms. But I think they try to convince some Black folks, some Black liberals, that that's a good thing. Intersectionality, whatever that means. Am I pronouncing it what? Intersectionality. That term was started by a lesbian professor of law at UCLA. I can't remember her name. I used to know her name. Yeah. I mean, she's a proud lesbian. And, I don't have a problem with that. But, Black Americans need families, traditional families. That's what I want to see promoted in schools. In colleges, I want to see classes on the importance of a traditional family, the significance, the relevance, the necessity for a traditional family. Why don't they have courses in that? One of the reasons why Black America is destroyed is because the Black family. This is something Larry Elder talks about frequently. The Black family is destroyed. You guys know that data, right? In the 40s. And in fact, in the 40s, Black Americans have had more two-parent families than white Americans. Then when LBJ gave his commencement speech in front of Howard University, we had 67 two-parent families. And, the Democrats were concerned then in 1965 or whenever I think that was 65. It was in the 60s when LBJ gave that commencement speech. They were so concerned. So after 5 decades of being with the Democrats, now Black Americans have 27% two-parent families. Therefore, we're destroyed. Yeah. So anyway, I was talking about the political correctness, people of color. Black Americans are no longer Black Americans. We're people of color. And people of color is just not Black Americans. It's who? It's everyone except white men. And I guess white women. Yeah. So it's everyone who's not white is a person of color. So now, despite the fact that Black Americans have been in this country, 460 years, we are now grouped with everyone. We are now, our interest is, lodged in with every other group who just arrived last night across the border. We have the same interests as illegal aliens. We have the same interests as Asians and Latinos and, Indians and every group, Arabs, and, because these people are people of color, despite the fact that Hispanics, the majority of Hispanics on the U.S. Census mark white. So, and see, it's all just twisted and confused, and it's an utter mess. So, I'm telling Black Americans, and in fact, my mentor, Dr. Claude Anderson, calls us Native Black Americans, Native Blacks, Native in the sense that we have been born in America for generations, Native in the fact that we are distinguished from Africans who immigrate here and get American citizenship. That's who an African American is. An African American is Charlize Theron. And, I talk to folks about this on and on and on and over, and it doesn't register with them. They don't get it. They don't get that Charlize Theron, who's an American citizen, is an African American. And therefore, it's necessary that there is a distinction. They've used so many names for us, Negro and colored and whatever. What were we before? Afro-American, then I don't, but we're Native. We've been in this country 460 years. That matters. That matters. That's significant. That's relevant, right? So anyway, people of color. Oh, and the other term is this: diversity. And inclusion. And the reason, as you guys know, Dr. Claude Anderson is my mentor. The accurate political history tells us that when those terms are used, because this isn't the first time, they always have terms. When diversity and inclusion and multiculturalism and people of color, all these terms are used, Black America ends up at the bottom every single time. We're at the bottom every single time. And that's why there's some reports that say, I don't know how accurate, but there's a concern that by 2053, Black America will be at 0 median wealth. That's relevant. That's significant. How can you be in a country 460 years and you'll be at 0 median wealth? And how is that not a national crisis? How is that not a national crisis? We're the only group mentioned in the U.S. Constitution, the direct descendants of slaves, Negroes, the direct descendants of slaves. That's why the Civil War was fought, to end slavery, despite what liberal academicians say. Because, I heard Lincoln's 700-word speech. He's explicitly said in that speech, the Civil War was fought to end slavery. So anyway, there's so much, let me tell you, this is the bottom line, folks. You can't trust liberals. You can't trust the left. They distort history. They tell lies. all the time. They never stop. How is having a border wall immoral when we know that illegal aliens replace American workers, but most specifically Black workers? Then the question is, why are there so many low-skilled Black workers in America? Why? Yeah, don't you think that more Black folks should be middle class? Is that reasonable to expect after being in the country for 400 years, after 5 decades after the civil rights movement, after marching and praying and talking and believing this and believing that, and all these people making money talking about the Black condition, and all these reports and all these studies and all these commissions and the Great Society, all of that. And it's like all of that for naught. All of that, was a complete and utter waste. And the Democrat Party, and I really cannot understand Black folks who are still voting Democrat after all this information that is on the internet where you can find it. For instance, I just saw an article. I've seen this article before. We know the article about Black Americans will be at zero median wealth in 2053. I think that was in what magazine? I don't know. I can't remember what it's in. But this is one article I can mention. This is a title, rather. This is in the Los Angeles Times. Liberals say immigration, this is the title, I'm reading the title. Liberals say immigration enforcement is racist, but the group most likely to benefit from it is Black men. That was in the LA Times. Okay? So how come people haven't read this? Why are people still saying illegal? Democrats used to say, I don't hear them saying it anymore. But actually, there was a professor on Washington Journal that said it this morning, actually. He said, illegal aliens do jobs that American workers won't do. Illegal aliens in Los Angeles specifically, because I had the LA building inspector on the show, illegal aliens do all the construction work in Los Angeles. They do all the trade jobs in Los Angeles. You cannot find a construction worker in Los Angeles. You can't find one. And this is another thing I want to say, because I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I've lived other places, but I've lived most of my time in Los Angeles. And when Mayor Tom Bradley was mayor, he believed in that multiculturalism, diversity, inclusion, all those liberal terms that does no good for Black folks. He believed in all that Black politicians always buy that bull crap that the left sells. They buy it, they eat it up like it's sugar, candy, So when Mayor Tom Bradley, he believed in all that. And so LA City Hall everyone was working in City Hall. Every group had a job. Asians, whites, Blacks, Latinos, everyone had a job. Arabs, whoever, LA's diverse. Well, LA's not really diverse. Now we're basically just Latino. Latinos make up most of the city. So when Mayor Tom Bradley, everyone was working in City Hall. Comes in Villaraigosa, and who's all of City Hall basically is all Latinos working there. This is the truth. And and you look at any city employee working in construction, a city employee working the trades or working on the streets, and they're all Latino. You can't find one Black worker. You can't find one Black man working a construction job in Los Angeles. But I'll tell you one thing, go down the Skid Row, and it's blocks and blocks and blocks of Black men on Skid Row. When I was growing up, Skid Row was only 1 or 2 blocks. Now it's like 10 or 20. And Ted Hayes, I want to play that. I got the audio of Ted. Ted Hayes, who, the activist who deals with homelessness, and he's been a guest on this show twice or more. He will tell you that most of the people, 40% of the workers, 40% of the homeless folks in Los Angeles are Black men, Black folks. But this is not a national emergency. Crushing and, relegating Black America to a permanent underclass is not a national emergency. is it Nancy Pelosi? Despite the fact that Black Americans have sustained the Democratic Party, crushing us, relegating us to a permanent underclass is not a national emergency. And I wish Trump would have said that in his speech that he gave last week. His wife, he said that, he did mention, that was one of the first things he said. He said illegal aliens harm Latinos and Black men the most because they take their jobs. And, what do people think illegal aliens are doing when they come to the country? What do you think they're coming for? And these folks are still trying to sell the stuff. The guy on C-SPAN this morning, it was a professor, I can't remember his name. He said, and they're mostly mothers and children. And everyone saw it. Every American saw the caravan coming up from Honduras. So we have that visual. We saw who it was. It was like 90% men working age. We all saw it. So how can they still try to sell this hogwash to the American people that they're mother and children? It's men, 80 to 90% men coming up. And you got another group, another caravan. I don't know why they call it a caravan. You got another group coming up from Honduras already. Enough is enough already. But anyway, we know that I love Dan Bongino, his podcast. And one of the things that he said is that we must stand by Trump. We must notify Trump. We must stand by him. We cannot give on this issue of the wall. We're not going, we're not going to retreat. We're not going to give an inch. And thank goodness for Trump, because he has the cojones to stick with it. He's not intimidated by the Democrats. All these other politicians, all these other Republicans are intimidated by the Democrats because they accuse the Republicans of being racist and all this other bullcorn. Because as I've said 1,000 times, the epitome of racism is the destruction of Black America. And it's Republicans haven't destroyed Black America. Democrats have. It would have been nice if Republicans and conservatives were more proactive and would have protected Black Americans from the Democrats, or would have reached out to us in a more proactive way. But, as I've mentioned before, they were supposed to be tasked with that, but instead, what did they do? They entered into the Tilden Hayes Compromise, and they sort of neglected their duty to Black Americans. They neglected their duty to the direct descendants of slaves. But they're not as guilty as Democrats who have been literally, directly, and proactively destroying Black America by their lies for 5 decades, by their policies for 5 decades, by illegal aliens, letting in illegal aliens for 5 decades. They know that is suppressing, that is devastating the Black community. All you have to do is come to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is unrecognizable now. You don't even see Black men. I was driving down Vermont Boulevard, and I think I was driving down Western. I was with my friend. We were driving down Western, and then we went over to Burbank, and we went over to Glendale, and I think I drove down, let's say, Vermont, Western. I can't remember the other street. Maybe Wilshire. So you don't even see Black folks anymore. When I was growing up, you would see I worked everywhere. You'd see Black folks in Century City. You see them downtown LA. You'd see them in Hollywood. We were everywhere. Now we're just confined to a little area. And, they're few and far between, you see. And when you do see Black men, they're like riding a bicycle. Or they're homeless. Like I said, by the Starbucks, you have homeless Black folks in Leimert Park. This is crazy. Anyway, I have 4 more minutes. My engineer, Jeff, thank you, Jeff. I haven't even gotten to what I wanted to say yet. It's like I start talking, I just start talking. There were some things that I wanted to say. I've been saying stuff, but I haven't done the whole thing that, like the point of my show, all my bullet points. And, and I just start talking and I just get so wrapped up in what I'm saying. I haven't even said my bullet points. Oh, but I did tell you the one article, liberals say immigration enforcement is racist, but the group most likely to benefit from it is Black men. That's the LA Times article. Okay, this is another article. African American, I hate that term, African American. It says African American, but I'm going to say Black American. Black American leaders have long called for tougher immigration law. This is in cityandstatepa.com. Cityandstatepa.com. So, Black folks in every city. This is saying how Black folks in Philadelphia are suffering work-wise. That's the other thing. So let's see, what else did this is the other thing I wanted to say. I mentioned that we've got to stick with Trump and this wall. We've got to stick with Trump and this wall. And if you go to dickmorrisreports.com, he has a petition where you can go to dickmorris.com. He has a petition that you can sign to send to President Trump to say, listen, we support you, but you got to build the wall. You got to build the wall. Don't cave in to the Democrats. Because if he caves in, if anyone can stick to their guns, it's Trump, right? That's why we love him. That's why we voted for him, because he's not an establishment politician. So what else did I want to say? Oh, people are complaining that I've heard folks complain that Trump listened to Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh and Laura Ingraham because initially they said that he was going to go with the bill that the House had signed. He was going to, and the Senate would sign it, and he would not veto it. But he informed the Senate that he would veto that House bill that didn't give him the $5.678 billion for the wall. But Rush Limbaugh and Laura Ingraham and Ann Coulter informed him that if he does not veto that bill, he's going to lose his base. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because a politician, the president, is supposed to listen to his base. Why? Because voting is quid pro quo. You're supposed to get something for your vote. We voted for him. He's listening to his base. We expect him to do what we want. That's the whole point of voting. So the only suckers that don't do that are Blacks. Black Americans vote for the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party gives them nothing for their vote. They voted for Barack Obama, and Obama came up with an executive order for DACA, for illegal aliens. And illegal aliens suppress and supplant Black American workers. So, Black Americans we have sustained the party, and we've got nothing for our votes. So Trump, conservatives are smarter than Democrats. So this show is titled, Democrat Voters Are the Most Unknowledgeable and Illogical Folks on the Planet, Part 2, because that was the title that I used last week. I have a lot to say, but here's my music. John and Bo, they're sponsors of the show. Please go and check them out. They're going to have an album coming up. It's johnandbo.com. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and I would like you to tell me why you think Democrat voters are the most unknowledgeable and illogical folks on the planet. You can call in and tell me. I'll be right back.
Kathleen Wells, the host of the Naked Truth Report, wants to hear from you. Just like our borders, the phone lines, well, they're wide open. Call in at 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. 866-870-KRLA.
Team on land and sky and under the seas.
taking the crown. Air Force in the sky, just laying them down. Navy's in the ocean, extending our reach. Marines sent for 5, they're hitting the beach. Special ops and Navy SEALs behind the scenes, doing all the dirty work nice and clean. Never stop 24 hours a day, never knowing where they're gonna go or stay.
Welcome back, welcome back. You're listening to John and Bo, the country duo, Army, Navy. I don't know the words to that yet, but I'll start. When I get the words, I'll start singing it. Anyway, this week I attended, if you want to call in, the number is 866-870-5752. Call in 866-870-5752. And you can tell me why you think Democrat voters are the most unknowledgeable and illogical folks on the planet Earth. Yeah, that's what we want to talk about. But, and also if you go to the nakedtruthreport.com, my website, you can see me in the studio and I'll wave hi. Okay, so this is the other thing I want to say is that, this week I attended 2 events. I attended the National Academy of Arts and Sciences, and they had a commission on, I know you're listening, Keith. Hi, Keith Hardeen. Hi. And also Ashley is listening. Hi, Ashley. And let's see, they had Keith Hardeen attended it, and I was there, and Jim Enstrom. These are folks that I know, they're conservatives. And it was like maybe 15 of us, and we were talking about citizenship and democracy. Those are good topics, I think. And we should have more of those things. And this is an important thing when you have, we've got 12 million at least illegal aliens in the country. At least. It's probably more. We don't know definitively, but it's probably more. Oh, and one of the things I wanted to ask is, are illegal aliens included in the numbers in the census? I don't know for sure. But anyway, we talked about this commission. We talked about community. Yes. And one of the things that I said is that, Black Americans don't have a community anymore. We have neighborhoods, but we don't have a community. A community is where you have businesses, okay? And Black Americans don't have businesses. In fact, this is something, a healthy community should generate 3 small businesses per 1,000 per year. A healthy community should generate 3 small businesses per 1,000 per year. In the Black community, the small business formation rate is about 3 small business per 100,000 per year. Isn't that dismal? Isn't that disappointing? Aren't we disappointed with these numbers? Aren't we disappointed when we hear things like this? You know why we're disappointed? Because all of the energy and all of the talk over, with the civil rights movement, the Martin Luther King and the assassinations and this, that, and it was just too much. All the the NAACP and the national, what are the other, or I don't even remember all those organizations. I can't remember them. What was the national, I can't think of them. And the National Association of the Advancement, that's the NAACP. There were just so many, like Ralph Budd, all these people, I can't even remember them. But just so during the civil rights era, there were so many civil rights folks, so many people involved. And so, it was just a volatile and sort of very, energized time, passionate. People were so stirred. It's like, we've got to do something. Black America can't be, there was just so much energy pushed into Black America. So many people, and here we are at the bottom. Below, it's embarrassing. Here, our small business formation is 3 small business per 100,000. It's just so disappointing. It's just like, for what? All that energy, all that talking, all those churches, all those preachers, all those activists, all those talking here. And, I blame Black people. I blame the Black leaders, the Jesse Jacksons and the Al Sharptons and the Black politicians and the Cornel West and the Michael Eric Dyson and the Joanne Reed, because they're lying to us. Anyone all you got to do is get on the internet and type in, how does illegal aliens impact adversely Black folks? Just type that in the internet. All these articles come up. These people know this stuff. And you know that last year, or was it in 2017, when I went to the Congressional Black Caucus in DC, I confronted Al Sharpton and Karen Bass, my congresswoman, and Sheila Jackson Lee about this fact that Barbara Jordan was talking about how illegal aliens adversely impact Black America. And Coretta Scott King wrote a letter about how illegal aliens impact adversely Black America. And, Booker T. Washington talked about how high immigration adversely impacts, how Chinese workers, and, they were like saying, why bring in Chinese workers? Why bring in Mexicans, foreign workers, when you have Black workers who can work, who need work? This was in the 1800s. W.E. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, they wrote about it. So it's all very disappointing. It's like, and this is why I believe what Dr. Claude Anderson says. It's like, no matter what, because, people, conservatives say, oh, well, there's slavery, but it wasn't just slavery. It was slavery. It was Black codes. It was sunset laws. It was meritorious manumission. And now it's like political correctness. Everything to destroy Black America or keep us subjugated or relegated to the bottom rung of the ladder. So this is, it's just too much. And Black folks who are still voting Democrat are just unknowledgeable and illogical. They don't do anything. They must be busy with other matters. And they talk superficially about politics. They turn on the TV and they believe what the Democrats say. They're just stuck in a box. They're not knowledgeable people. Anyway, why don't we take a call now from Janet? Hi, Janet. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hello, Kathleen. Kathleen, if I could, I would give you the Congressional Medal of Honor.
I'll take it. No.
I'm serious, my dear. You have hit the nail right on the head. That our Black brothers and sisters, our Black American citizens are being annihilated.
Yeah, you don't even see us anymore in Los Angeles.
No, because they're totally hamstrung. They cannot get any work. They cannot get any college. Abortion, is rampant. And the only where the Black folks are now, like especially our Black men, they're either sleeping up at the VA, incarcerated for stealing a loaf of bread, or down on Skid Row,
right,
or hiding in their mom's basement. Because when they go out, they're going to get, there's zero work for them,
right.
And I live in Southern California, and I have seen. I'm a Californian. I'm almost 60.
Where do you live? Where do you live, Janet?
I live in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, you're in the Valley. Yeah, they're not even there anymore.
No. When during the campaign, I would tweet things like, I'm looking every day at the post office to see if the flag of Mexico flies over us. Because really, it's solid Latino. If you say one word, you're prejudiced. But everywhere you go to IHOP, solid Latino.
Yeah, you don't see Blacks. I've lived here most of my life. I've lived in Tucson, and I've lived in San Francisco, and you don't even see Black people. I grew up in Leimert Park.
Yes.
And when I was a kid, I used to ride the bus up to Hollywood looking for a job at one of the retail stores when I was 15. And I ended up working my first job was a jean store where Maverick's Flat is on Crenshaw and what was, I can't remember the name of the street, but you know, that was my first store at a jean store. It's no longer there. And not Stocker, but Crenshaw and Stocker. But I used to ride the bus up to like Hollywood to look for jobs to work in a store because I wanted to work in retail. I love clothes, you know, when you're kids. So anyway, I would see Black folks everywhere. I would see them in Westwood. Everywhere. I went to UCLA. I would see Blacks in Westwood. I would see, you know, working and just, I worked downtown. You see them downtown. You see them in Santa Monica. You would see them everywhere. You wouldn't see them so much in Glendale or Burbank, but you would see them up and down Slauson, up and down Vermont, up and down Western. You would see Black folks. Now you drive. Go ahead.
It was just normal. It was
normal.
I happened to be 1/4 Black. My grandfather was an entertainer, and you know, so I grew up a lot, you know, all around the entertainment world, you know, with my dad and my grandfather. I'm like part Black, you know, my grandfather was Black and my grandmother was Norwegian on my father's side. But I grew up, everything, you know, all of our Black schoolmates, they all became like firemen, you know, CPAs, you know, they worked like a little bit, you know, maybe they were like, you know, working, you know, at the IRS, but it was all normal.
Normal.
You know, but now, you know, it's just normal. You
it's
know,
normal.
Like you're Black, you're white, you know, you're my next door neighbor.
Right.
And, you know, and if there's a fire, you know, call me or whatever, you know, but we are, what's happening, and I've really tried to study it. And since I became a widow, I've had a lot more time. But what has happened, Kathleen, is that we are under, just like Europe, we're under heavy globalization. And the way to do that is you have to get, especially the most vulnerable folks out. You got to get them out, and you have to practice citizen replacement. And that's what's happening. You know, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, you know, so long as they got their Swiss bank accounts, that's all they care about.
Right.
You know, but they sold
us out. Yeah, it's undeniable.
Yeah, and Trump was the only one outside of the corrupt establishment, the corrupt, you know, left, and we have a lot of rhinos, you know, a lot of bad Republicans, you know, like you know, that are, you know, I don't know who they are, but you know, like Linda Murkowski,
like that Flake. Yeah,
Flake, totally.
And
that's
Crocker or Crooker, whatever his name, the guy.
Bob Corker, exactly.
Yeah.
But Trump was the only one outside of the establishment who saw what was happening in New York City. Everyone that he was leasing to was Arab or Chinese. He walks outside the door. There's nothing but homeless Blacks, whites, and Italians, you know, that are being replaced by Pakistani, Hispanics, and Arabs. And in California, you know, we love the Latin people, but we are overrun.
We're overrun. It's no longer diversity. It's just all Latinos. Well, anyway, I got a lot of callers, Janice. Thanks for calling in. Okay. Now we'll take a call from Brent in LA. Hi, Brent.
Hello, my courageous Kathleen.
Hi.
I wanted to respond to what your call to why is it that progressives are so irrational, illogical, ignorant, and I just want to caution, in no way are they irrational, illogical, or ignorant. They are just predatory. They're amoral and they're immoral. And so everything they do that appears irrational to us, because we actually believe in certain values and certain ends like truth, and dignity, and freedom, and liberty.
And integrity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they always pretend to be that. But it's always a deception, and it's always just a facade.
And a trick up the sleeve.
Exactly. and so as soon as you see that, they are absolutely brilliant. And, you know, they accomplish all kinds of goals that they have. Look at the body counts of Stalin and Mao and Castro. They get exactly what they want. And the enslavement of Americans. The Democratic Party is a slave party, and now it's gone beyond the black slaves. It's like they want to enslave everyone.
Well, when I think it was James Baldwin that said that whatever happens to Black America will eventually seep out into white America. And we see that because, Black Americans have 27 two-parent families. And now all American families, only 50% of all American families have one parent. And then you saw mass incarceration and crack. And now you see opioid. You see?
Yes, wherever we allow there to be victims, it doesn't end with a particular victim class.
Mm-hmm.
It'll spread and spread.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, today, up till now, so much of it has been in the Black world.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, Jews were the canaries in the mine.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever we allow this, our children and our schools are now the victims.
Mm-hmm. The schools are horrible.
They're absolutely places of child abuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks, Brett, for calling. And I got a lot of callers. Let me take one more call, maybe from Karen in Hollywood. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Happy that you're on the radio, and it's so nice to hear you.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to add to why the Democrats are still ruling, and why Black people continue to vote Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
This past election, I was one of those former Democrats, as well as my husband,
mm-hmm.
who is, I'm in a mixed marriage. My husband's Hispanic, and he is legal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the main problems is that Black people have allowed others to think for them for so long,
mm-hmm.
and now they really don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just out there and they're struggling
mm-hmm.
in every area of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And another main reason is they don't like to get involved now.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're basically...
Trump is in office. That's going to change. I hope so. Because I know for a fact that
mm-hmm.
many people voted for Trump, like I said, including myself and my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
So I think more people are listening now. They just have to be encouraged and just show, the real truth about the Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Well, I go bank at One United Bank, and I was arguing with the man at the bank I was talking so loud because I'm just so frustrated. He was just bashing Trump. I'm so sick of Black folks bashing Trump. You're ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about.
Though.
Huh?
They just don't understand. They don't understand. You're right. They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, they're damaged because,
yes.
Because you can't think. You don't see Black businesses up and down Crenshaw Boulevard. You don't see, you see Black men with bicycles walking around.
If they have a bicycle, if they're not sitting somewhere on the side of the road with this distraught look on their face, they don't even know where they are. It's just so sad.
It's so sad. And you see homeless places, encampments in Leimert Park. Now, those homes, if they're renovated, they go for over $1 million. Mm-hmm. And you have homeless people there? You see, I saw a homeless tent on Wilshire Boulevard. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
There's a homeless tent.
All the main streets, you see homeless people. And the thing about the homeless people, they push them from one area to the other. So they're never going to become unhomeless. They're just being pushed from one place to another. And then with all the migrants, illegal immigrants that are coming in, it's only going to get worse.
And they're illegal aliens. They're not immigrants. An immigrant is not subject to deportation.
I'm sorry, illegal aliens.
And it's the left dominates the terminology and narratives and the terms. And this is why we're failing, because it's the language. They control the language, and we end up embracing it and using their language, and their language is wrong.
And they get away with it.
They get away with
California,
because they have the media on their side. They have the media on their side, and the Hollywood
job if you're not bilingual.
Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
I know. Anyway, thank you, Karen, for calling in. Thank you, Karen. So let's take a call now from Linda. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Kathleen. Where do you want me to start first? What I think about the Democrats, or what I was going to say about Trump?
Oh, we have 1 minute. Say it quickly, please.
Okay. First, where Democrats are concerned, I consider them brainwashed and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump should already do the emergency declaration.
Mm-hmm.
He should have already done it.
Mm-hmm.
And
but it's going to be the Ninth Circuit. It's going to be ruled unconstitutional by the lower courts. It's going to be a big problem.
I don't want any deal with DACA.
No, I don't either.
and he could get money. He could get money for the border by taking money out of everything that is not in English. All the like Social Security, and all that. Everything that's they print out in English, and all that.
Yeah.
And rescind Clinton's executive order, get money for that.
Okay, Linda, I ran out of time. I'll talk to you next week. Okay, Linda? Thank you. Thank you. This is the Naked Truth Report. I'm Kathleen Wells, aka Kat. I'm going to start using that. Kat Wells, your host of the Naked Truth Report. And I'll see you next week. Thank you very much.